What was the most shocking thing you heard the quiet kid say? So this one kid, who barely ever said 2 words, one day, asks the teacher for the time. It was at some after school thing and there was no clock. The teacher says the classic time for you to get a watch, which for some reason was funny to everyone else. The quiet kid doesn't laugh. He looks the teacher dead in the eyes and wants everyone quieted down. He says, so are you gonna tell me the fucking time? Or what we were in like 7th grade? Can't blame him. Can't tell you how many times I've heard that stupid joke. How did the teacher respond? The kid's got balls, I'll tell you that much. In class we were studying genetics and one guy was being a real douche and the teacher couldn't get him to shut up. Then after discussing inbreeding and dogs, one quiet kid raises his hand and says, so is this likely how Peter, douche, became so fucking retarded? I've got a friend like this. I relate him to a sniper rifle. He doesn't make comments like that often. Maybe once every month or 2. But every one of them is goddamn glorious. It's an art. Most people would then try to carpet bomb the conversation with forced jokes trying to get the same response. Quiet guy I worked with never said much until he came up to me and asked what happens when an Eskimo comes. Before I get the chance to respond, he throws a handful of ice at me and walks away. In junior high in the mid 80s, the game Trivial Pursuit was all the rage. We played it in math class one day and this kid, Gary, who never said anything at all, totally spanked everyone else by answering every single sports related trivia question. He got a lot of attention for it and I believe he walked a little taller after that day. I don't think I ever heard him say anything else, but I did see him sitting on the bleachers at a few sports events. It was the moobs. At school, having just shown me the scope for a, supposedly his, sniper rifle. If the fire alarm ever goes off and you can't find me, don't use the doors as an exit. Well, he was nice enough to warn you. Better to be his friend than his target. Practice colon. Or see, he's a nice guy, giving you a heads up like that. The quiet kid from my grade stood up one day, grabbed a broom, stood on a chair and began trying to swat bees that got inside. One bee landed on the window where quiet kid proceeded to yell die bee die and then swatted and shattered the window. He screeched when it happened and then sat back down. Never heard him speak again. That man is going to Valhalla after a bee related incident. He denies the involvement of LSD in this encounter. One of my students hardly said a word all year until a couple weeks ago. I was trying to get a group of talkative ones under control and she had enough. She yells out, shut the fuck up. I am trying to work, you fucking assholes. Awkward silence followed because I didn't know how to handle the normally studious and quiet one losing it. I was like this in middle school, not exactly quiet, but I never really socialized except with people right beside me in the form of asking for a pencil. One day the classroom douche happened to be more douche-y than I could stand for and I stood up out of my seat and yelled at him and sat back down. The entire class fell silent, but he never got that douche-y again. This makes sense. The quiet ones, that includes me, usually have an unreal level of patience and ability to mute feelings. They're all bottled up in there. So eventually there will be a snapping point, like the popping of a balloon. And it happens real quick. Then it's gone, nothing else in the tank. Others are afraid they'll blow up again, so they're scared. But they won't blow up again because it took months or years to build up all that energy. But no one else has to know that. Semicolon. I was best friends with the quiet kid in middle school. It wasn't so much shocking as the stupidest thing I've heard him say. He got this 1,000-yard stare all of a sudden and just said, I can't remember what color my dog is. Similar to a friend of mine. The thing about rain is that it makes mud. Someone needs to Truman Show this kid. I don't know why, but I am crying. I am laughing so hard at that. Thank you. Wow, literally this question came at a perfect time. I was just thinking about this and it was by far in sophomore year of high school. This kid was so odd that honestly no one ever really noticed him. But one day he's sitting across from me at a table and he sees this one girl in really tight shorts and goes, "Goddamn, I could have my head up her ass for months." It was pretty shocking. Dude could have worn her like a hat. It's amazing the way booty can bring us all together. This could be weird, or really weird, depending on which kind of head he meant. In kindergarten, there was this kid, Donatello, and he never said a word. He was nice enough, played games and everything, but completely silent. One day we were looking out the classroom window as a cop drove by. Donatello opens his mouth and says police car. At the time, we were all excited to hear him speak, but looking back, the kid must have had some real dark history. Living in a sewer with 3 brothers and a talking rat who forces you to do karate all day does that to you. Just sounds like he was a quiet kindergarten student who saw police car to me. Police car, Leonard, Raphael and Michelangelo need my help. In high school, I had first level Spanish with this kid who was super quiet. At the end of the year, we all had to give a speech in Spanish in front of the entire class. This motherfucker stood up and gave a speech, not in Spanish, but in a language that he had spent the entire year inventing. Wait, what? Details? I bet your grandmother got raped at Nanking. Jesus. Was this between a Chinese and Japanese kid? My asshole is this big while making a circle with her fingers. Edit. Lots have asked how big it was. It was probably the size of a euro. Not too big, not too small. Just like Goldilocks' asshole. I'm sure it was. Just right. And no, unfortunately I did not check the Olay turd cutter out. I've failed you, Reddit. I'm sorry, I feel like an asshole about this. Big? How big was the circle? Did she ever back up those claims? Jeremy, this guy was so silent that we believed he was a mute. The school had just recently painted the bins in all kinds weird styles. As our group was walking somewhere at lunchtime, we passed a bin that was covered in handprints. He offhandedly goes, "That bin is handy," leaving us dumbfounded at his pun bomb. Thought this was going to be a Pearl Jam joke. Jeremy spoke in class today. Freshman innocent quiet girl on the spikes on top of German helmets from the war. They look like painful butt plugs. Innocent. We were chilling at a bar in Prague and someone rolled up some hash oil and tobacco and passed it around. The quiet kid hit it and got even quieter. 20 minutes later some aggressive, growling black metal comes on and out of nowhere he yells, "Kill your parents." We fucking lost it. He was pretty happy with himself. I think quiet kid just told you why he was quiet. The day I decided to not say stupid things was a very important day in my life. Before I knew it, I just didn't talk anymore.